Peace and love, everybody. Namaste. Welcome. Hey, Elizabeth and Alberta. Wow, Alberta. What a great place and beautiful. Everybody's all over the world today, and everywhere that you've mentioned, it has beauty to it. Well, peace and love and namaste. I'm Peter Panagore, MDiv, Yale Divinity School, and I only mention that to show cred. Ex-clergy, ex-church, two-time near-death experiencer. This is not church. Jesus through the lens of near-death experience and other things. No doctrine, no dogma, no theological Bravo Sierra. Hello to everybody here with me. Hey, Robin. Hey, Elizabeth. Oh, I said hi to you already. Hello, everybody here with me and everybody watching the recording. Thanks for allowing us to be part of your day. We are a mystical community of experiencers in many time zones, united in our interior search. We are seekers, and I thank you for your support for being here with me. I'm grateful to Dr. Neil Douglas Klotz and his Aramaic to English translations from his, quote, Revelations of the Aramaic Jesus. Revelations of the Aramaic Jesus and, pardon me, the hidden teachings on life and death. For his agreement to allow me to use his writings in this series. I'm amazed that the doctor, Neil Douglas Klotz, his translations of the ancient Aramaic canonical gospels, for all you Christian or ex-Christians out there, align so closely with the non-canonical Gospel of Thomas and some of the world religions and mysticism, many of them, and with my understanding of Yeshua following my first NDE. This story of Jesus walking on water may be familiar to you, but the mystical meaning central to his teaching is probably not familiar to you if you just went to church and heard the preacher preach. Today's message in the Gospel of John may shock you. One day, Yeshua got tired of the people wanting the flashy signs of miracles and healings, so he ditched everyone and his friends, and friends included, and slipped away to a hill to meditate and pray alone to recharge and recenter. Good to follow that teaching. His hungry buddies, the disciples, go fishing after dark. They're fishermen. They know boats. They know the water. Going out after dark, not a big deal. But a large storm blows in hard and kicks up towering waves, as it still does on the Sea of Galilee. The fishermen see someone walking on the water toward them and get frightened. Is it a ghost? Is it a demon? Is it an alien? The Koine Greek story says that Jesus calls out, "Hey, it's me. Don't be afraid." John 6:20. In the Aramaic, Yeshua shouts, "Enana lathed hal uan," or, this is the shocking part. Don't let yourself be weakened or divided by mere appearance, by something which passes away. Don't let yourself be weakened or divided by mere appearance, by something that passes away. So what does this mean, this Aramaic? It means connecting. This is Dr. Klotz's understanding based in his scholarship. And this is what I see inside of myself and saw and see inside of the teaching of Jesus that's kind of hidden from the church. It means connecting your smaller self to the only self with a capital O and a capital S, to the only self, your incarnate soul. Connect your incarnate soul to your oversoul, to the one light inside of everything. This connection will sort out what is real and not real. It's this interior connection that provides a vision and understanding, a hearing, a touching, a tasting of what is real and not real. I just used seeing and hearing and tasting and touching. These are real as far as they go here, but that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about the reality with a capital R. When I died, the reality on the other side, and you hear this from other near death experiencers, the reality on the other side is a million times, a septillion times more real than here. And this interconnection separates what's real from what's not real. In Aramaic, here's another shocking part. In the Aramaic, in most situations, Jesus advises us to connect within. That's what he's telling people. This is the balance place between our inner divinity and our outer humanity, the two together. Together. The outer, it's always passing away. The inner, that's eternal. Connect the two. Find awakening. Open to enlightenment. He says, don't be divided. Bring them together. So he gets in the boat and they all land on the other shore. But the crowd who they ditched on the far shore, they follow on foot. And one guy shouts out, "Hey, give us some bread as Moses did in the desert." The mythical miracle of manna from heaven, as the story goes, in Exodus, fed the Hebrews for 40 years as they wandered in the desert. But the manna didn't stop anyone from dying. Jesus replies to this man with the I am statement. Now, months ago, we covered the I am statements. Whenever Yeshua gives an I am statement, he's referring to his connection to his higher self, his Christ consciousness, his eternal nature. The I am who is the name, the ineffable, that Moses gave in Exodus. I am who is, also the I am who I am. So let's review for a moment. I am who I am. This is the most direct translation in many English versions of the Bible. It suggests that the beloved is self-existent and eternal. I am who I am, self-existent and eternal. Or there's another translation, I will be what I will be. This translation emphasizes the beloved's dynamic and ever unfolding nature, suggesting a future-oriented perspective for us and itself. I am who I shall be. This version of translation combines the aspects of self-existence with an unfolding future, indicating that the beloved is constantly adaptive. I will be who I will be. This interpretation stresses the beloved's sovereignty. I will be who I will be. And the idea that the external forces of nature do not determine the divine's nature or actions. Separate, interwoven for us. But my favorite is the I am who is. This is the isness of the divine. This translation emphasizes the beloved's existence and eternal presence with us. This isness is in us. I am who I am. You are who you are. You have divinity in you. That is actually who you are. Jesus answers the man who asked for bread, saying, I am the bread of life. Ena lachma dehe in the Aramaic. Jesus often uses the word inanna in the Aramaic Gospels and the Peshitta, which is the Aramaic Gospels. And every time he does, he points us to our ruha, our eternal souls that live within us. He does it all the time. Don't be divided. Connect to your eternal breath, your eternal divine. Are you hungry? Ingest a little eternal bread. Are you thirsty? Ingest some eternal water. Afraid? Connect to your real self, the only self, the oneness, the isness from whom you come, to whom you return, who you are right now beneath the 70,000 veils. This is your an everlasting self. For those of you who've explored your incarnations, your reincarnations, the thread that binds them all is yourself, your highest self, your soul. This is you. What are we hungry and thirsty for? What satisfies us once we've had a mystical experience that transforms our lives? He tells us to connect to our smaller, lower, original, only self. The only self, the original self, the oneness of being. Connect to the light that is and lives in all there is. Connect and discover your own true nature as he had. Be like me, he says. He wants us to have what he had. In John 6:35, we talked about this a week ago from the Aramaic. Whoever arrives at my experience will not hunger. Whoever trusts as I do will not thirst as I do. We can bring heaven here now and live in samadhi. Connect to the grid. Access the one in all there is. I'm talking to you from experience, not from theology. I am not hungry. I am not thirsty. My small lower self is connected to the oneness, to the only self. I saw and was this when I died, in this union, this who and what I am. And so in my temporal life, I came back with this extra dose of it. But I learned in my lifetime to increase my bandwidth for data flow, and my terabytes I added for storage. I added terabytes to my data storage through practices of retreating to recharge and reconnect as Jesus did. I connected my lower self to my higher self, breath by breath, action by action. Jesus' language of reconnection is so buried, so hidden, and condemned by Christianity in general, that at the time, back in 1980, I looked into Hinduism deeply and Zen practices in order to follow Jesus' teaching. I know that might sound strange to some, but you can connect and increase your experiential capacity. So what are the tools to use? And we've talked a million times about meditation. Next time we meet, which is not next Sunday, but the week after, the next time we meet, I'm going to compare major Hindu groups of yoga practices with similar practices in mystical Christianity, showing that the different spiritual traditions approach the similar concepts with similar results. And it doesn't have to do with declaring Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior, or how many times you go to church, or whether you tithe, or whether you believe what the preacher says. Because Jesus was telling us it's inside us. And I stand here telling you he's right. I know not by study, but through practice and experience. And you may ask why these Hindu yogic practices are similar to the Christian mystical practices. The answer is simple. Because they work. And they've been handed down for centuries because they work. They open our hearts and minds to allow us to channel paradise energy into the catchment basin of our body through our soul by connecting to the only self, giving us daily treasures of courage and reorientation and energy and joy and hope in daily life that make life itself bearable and beautiful. And Jesus didn't say, go read a book or go to the temple or get educated. In 100 different ways, in so many contexts, he told us again and again as we read in the Aramaic Gospels and can uncover in the Greek, Koine Greek, he tells us to connect our lower selves to our higher selves, to become, he says, like him, not to worship him, but to become like him. If you had a spiritually transformative experience, then you've tasted this, whatever tradition that you're in, because this is ineffable. It's beyond language and culture. It's the energy itself. And he happened to be a big carrier of it and quite the teacher. And yeah, I guess I'm trying to rehabilitate the perspective on him because so many people hate the church and so they hate Jesus. And so they don't understand that the one presented in church isn't the guy who he was. But it's important to, if you've had an experience, to cultivate it. I was afraid I was going to lose what had the connection that I had. He said once, to the one who has, that one gets more. More will be given to the one who has. If you've had a mystical experience or a spiritual transformative experience, you can cultivate this and grow your plant or a fruit tree to bear fruit. Now, after the first time I died, after my first death, I feared, I was afraid, I was afraid I was going to lose this connection, this thing that I knew that I was, and I was trapped in this body. I was afraid I was going to lose the connection, and I was right, and I was wrong. I would never have lost that connection. I understand that now. I would never have lost the connection to the energy that came back with me. I can't be lost now, not after what happened to me. But I was right to cultivate the gifts I was given. Not that psychic things that happen to me, which happen all the time, and to people around me, with people around me, I should say. But to cultivate the gift of connection, to connect to the one self, the only self, the oneness of being, to connect to that place provides all these gifts. And the biggest one of all is knowing where I'm from, who I am, and where I'm going. I'm one who has been given and to whom more has been given, but I provided the space for the more to gather by retreating into to re-energize, to recharge, to recenter. And now I'm always in pursuit, not because I have it in my head, but because I know it in my heart. I know it with my own experience of the divine energy that lives inside of me, that is experientially transmittable and present, and increases in a collection of people who've had spiritual transformations. And therefore, by being in pursuit, I continue to grow spiritually. I am not done my growing. I am living in life, growing as I go, just as Jesus did, just as all of the saints did, the mystical saints in all these different traditions. I grow incrementally and sometimes drastically by connecting to the one. It's an operating inner connection that gives us felt energy in the now, giving us eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart to give. I want to give this energy to you for a drink or a bite so that you might, with all your heart, soul, and mind, seek and find. And having found, continue to grow. Because this energy is you. Our bodies, they pass away. Our ruha, our soul, is eternal. Our ruha in Aramaic means a breath flowing freely, always connected to the source of reality. Capital S, capital R, Allah in Aramaic, Allah, YHWH, Brahma, source, the beloved one and only self. The ruha, The soul has a bunch of different names. In Islam, it's called the naf. In the New Age world, it's called our higher self. In Christianity, it's our soul. Mystical experiencers of oneness and union. Like me. I didn't ask for it. It happened. Know and not believe. Know that this is my original, actual, and eternal self. As Yeshua says in the Gospel of Thomas 80, nod to Robert there, fan of the Gospel of Thomas. Thomas 80, whoever has come to really know the outer world composed of levels of time and space has fallen over a corpse. And whoever has tripped over this corpse does not find such a world worth their while. Hence the conflict of many NDErs being depressed after their NDE. Not everyone, but many of us. I tripped over my corpse. The world is not reality. Temporary. And Jesus implies that once a person realizes the limited and transient nature of the material world, they no longer will find it fulfilling of their ultimate attention, no longer needing their ultimate attention. I live in the world, I work hard in the world, but my attention is... Instead, we seek a deeper spiritual understanding and connection that is more real and more valuable. We seek this connection to the one self that pervades all things, that's connecting all things everywhere, all the time. You see it, you feel it, you touch it, you smell it. You go out in nature and it radiates around you. Connect to the one self and discover our true selves. Don't let yourself be weakened or divided by mere appearance, by something that passes away. Fear not. Thanks for spending time with me today. Time is the most valuable item of a human life because it's temporary. So thank you. Appreciate it. And thanks for your financial support. A little from everyone goes a long way in making it possible for me to be here with you now, to do podcast interviews, to meet with you at Mystic Tea Salon, coming up at the top of the hour, where the talk is profound through crowdsourced wisdom. Thank you, Sylvester, for the super chat. And the link for the Mystic Tea Salon is below in the show notes. Next Sunday, December 10th, Dr. Ken Gilligan will be running Mystic Chai Salon because I'll be away writing the final half of my last chapter for the feature film. Had a long talk with the producer just the other day, which I hope to complete in January. A whole year. It would have been done sooner, but Mom got sick. So been doing a lot of mom time. She's fine. Peace and love, my friends. And thank you, KT, for the super chat. It really does help. Thanks for being here with me this morning. The link for the Mystic Tea Salon is in the show notes. I'll see you there in a few minutes. And we'll have a long talk. I have a 1 o'clock appointment, so we'll end a little early for that. Thanks, Sylvester. Thank you for saying so. Martha, Andrew. Hey, Andrew. Good to see you here. Holly, thank you. Thank you very much. And Diane and Vineyard Worker. I got 5 stars from Vineyard Worker. Thank you, 5-star Vineyard Worker. Tiffany. Cognate. Thank you. Amy, thank you. And let's see. Rick, Amy, Closet, Revelations of the Aramaic Jesus. That's the title of the book. And I'll see you in a few minutes. Peace and love, everybody. Thank you.